When people think of entrepreneurship, they often think of a tech startup, a fashion brand, and sometimes even a cheeky coffee shop. A few imagine a woman starting a business in a male-dominated industry. Today we meet Phume, who decided to swap her life from corporate South Africa as a recruitment specialist and moved on to the life of red tape, building and owning a couple of bottle stores within South Africa.
It all started with the interest in the retail space and seeing a gap within the liquor space in the sense that we don't have good-looking stores like this in certain areas that are selling alcohol. So this is it gives it a fresh and a refreshing look of what we're trying to give to the public.
And what was the first step
into this? So the first step was understanding the market. It was doing some research on doing analysis on foot traffic and just volumes in certain areas, getting to understand what people want, learning convenience. You know, where we are, like you look there, the parking is outside, person can walk directly in, we're not in a shopping center. So it was just doing visibility studies. That was the first step, to get to understand what would it mean to run a bottle store that is convenient, beautiful, and brings exactly what the people want.
So I think most people will want to know, who was Phume before entrepreneurship?
Okay, so before I began my business journey, I was actually into youth development.
Okay.
I was an HOD for Focus, which is a youth administration program management, basically. So I used to assist develop and grow young people in South Africa.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
I'd say to a young 10-year-old, you don't have to limit yourself. Stop thinking about being a lawyer, being a doctor, being a teacher, or whatsoever. There are plenty of opportunities. Being an entrepreneur, opening shops, you could create job opportunities for other people.
I'm very happy because it's a black woman, umuntu omusha, umuntu wesifazane ozokwazi ukuvulela abanye abantu amathuba omsebenzi. I'm very, very happy. I hope sizoba the best time sisebenze ngokukhulu ukuyikhandla.
So youth development, what drew you into that business or that industry?
Sector? Yes. So I come from recruitment. I worked in the UK for the financial newspaper, which does asset management, hedge of funds, funds of funds. So that's helping adults find jobs. So after a while, with counter offers and people always not knowing what they want, I decided that let's help the new guys, the young ones, the ones that are starting their careers. And then I moved into youth development.
Interesting. Was there a moment though where you realized, Uti, employment wasn't going to be your forever space?
No, and there can never be a moment like that. I love recruitment. I love youth development. Even up until today, I'm a reference when people are looking for certain people within a certain space. Like when positions are available, I'm normally asked to help, and then I will headhunt and assist in filling those roles. I am still in communication with some of the administrators for the programs that we used to run. So sometimes people still again call me and they're like, okay, hey, I'm looking for a job, can you help me out? And I'd be there to assist. So there's never a time you stop helping out.
And what do you think were parts of your previous life in recruitment that helped prepare you for this part?
Okay, literally all of it, because number one, the recruitment space is business development, and it's also paying attention to a lot of detail, and also looking at a project from beginning to end. And then also being an entrepreneur, you are assisting with creating jobs, and a better economy. So with job creation, I still recruit. I recruit for all the stores. I recruit for every single store, and I shortlist, and I do training. So my previous life has definitely helped me to be more good at what I do now.
Why liquor stores? Why bottle stores?
So I'm a person who believes in not doing something that doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, our economy is not good right now, but people shall eat and drink. So for me, I'm terrible at doing things that fail, or but then on the same token, if you look at it, functions need alcohol, weddings need alcohol, celebrations need alcohol, and we also brew quite a lot of stuff in South Africa. We're the best in wine internationally, so why not alcohol?
In our communities, it's frowned upon. Especially as a woman. You're drinking as a woman, smoking as a woman. So what does that conversation look like when you are having the conversation with family and saying, look, I'm getting into this business? Because now you are saying you're going to be profiting from the business that is frowned upon in our communities.
100%. And to be truly honest, moving from careers to alcohol is the opposite of each other.
Yeah.
But I think alcohol drunk responsibly is okay. I think alcohol has been made from the days, we pray using umqombo team. It just needs to be done responsibly. The problems that we're having at the moment with alcohol, I would say, is because of alcohol abuse, which we need to be very much aware of. And also, sometimes people will rather have a glass of wine when they're sick rather than going to hospital, So
That's the culture.
So, but we don't condone such things. And we are also truly for a brighter South Africa, for kids that are sober minded. So alcohol definitely needs to be drunk responsibly. I cannot stress that more. And then secondly, we need to also abide by the rules of how alcohol is made, which is also the reasons why things have gone totally the other direction, because people are drinking things that are not regulated and they're not proper. Then it creates all this anxiety. But to say something as a woman, unfortunately, I do not have any gender issues. If somebody is going to be like, they've got an issue with me in the alcohol space because I'm a woman, unfortunately it's 2026, and if you look on the road and look on the streets, there are more women driving cars, which was not the norm. So I would say that let's try and cap this thing of saying young girls can't do certain things and other things are bad because they're being done by young girls, rather than it's a personality thing. You understand? If I'm strong enough to stand up, be in a certain market that another man wouldn't do, that's just how it is. It's my personality. So girls, go out there and do it for yourselves.
I couldn't have said it better myself. On the flip side of that, did anyone though talk you out of it when you first said, this is what I'm thinking of doing?
Yes, literally almost everyone. Because they were like, you're leaving your job, what about your job? And then remember, it takes about 3 years for a business to give that evidence that it's doing well. In the first 2 years or a year, you literally are giving more than what you're receiving. You're literally putting yourself out there, putting your brain and your heart on your sleeve. So of course, it is so crazy that, like, when I put up my first shop, people were like, we thought you were not going to make it. How did you do it? They were like, you spoke about this so many times. So believe me, anytime you leave your job, anybody who lives on fear will tell you what's going to happen month end. Anybody who has got no vision, the minute you tell them about something big that they can't imagine happening, they will not encourage you to do it. So I think 80% of anybody would have said to me, are you sure about what you're doing? What about your job? How are you going to cover your bills and things like that? So yes.
And still on that note, what do you think was the first risk that you took? That first jump that you took and you were like, oh, there's no going back now.
Honestly, nothing. I would say nothing. I think business starts from making a decision and actually taking the action. It's also very important to sometimes always do your research, understand what the business is all about and what you're doing. I wouldn't say that starting a business is a risk. I think starting a business is more like taking the initiative to be a starter and be a beginner. And then if you've got family and you've got responsibilities, I wouldn't suggest that you take those things and you put them at risk when starting anything new. You need to try and ensure that your business, and it comes from you having everything in order for you to then take the jump from the one stage to the other.
Sounds like solid advice to me. What does it take in terms of the licensing of owning a bottle store?
The liquor license application process is a huge schlep.
How huge? Because that was my next question.
It is so huge that it can literally destroy the business, because as you're waiting for the liquor license, you're all busy paying your rent, all your expenses don't stop, and yet you're not operating. Now they give rules to say that this process will take 3 to 6 months, and it can take up to a year. So who will then survive paying all that amount of rent whilst not making any money? So the chances of you surviving then become very, very slim. Yes.
What would surprise them in this industry?
Okay, what would surprise them is that there are people that are monopolizing the space. They would be surprised that they would travel to a different city only to find that there are 10 spas on one street.
No.
In every corner of the street.
No.
Separated by 100 meters. So meaning that as a smaller business, you'll battle to find space and you'll battle to get into the space.
But is that allowed?
The thing is that it is, because by the regulation of the laws from the liquor board, each store can be apart by 100 meters. So if you decide that I want to own 10 stores here and 100 meters apart, then you can. But honestly, it's something so taboo. So this was such a massive surprise for me as I drove down the road, and all I'm seeing is every corner there's a Tops, every corner there's a Tops. But I think it's very special to that particular city, but I believe in other places there's room for everybody to grow.
Have people ever underestimated you in the business? Look, we can't run away from the fact that it is male dominated. And I'm sure, first of all, men don't like it when women enter certain spaces.
Yes.
The misogyny of life.
Yeah.
But what have you found? Have you been...
I wouldn't say so. So I'm not I think that not everybody will love you, you're not money. Not everybody will wish you well. Not everybody will think you're capable. So personally, as an entrepreneur, I don't think like that. So maybe people have in the past, but that's never been a thing that I look at or I have any feelings towards. So my thing is, everybody started somewhere. The person that is running the biggest franchise, retail, started somewhere. So when I think of the bigger giants and I'm smaller, and that type of person could underestimate me, they started exactly where I started. So and I feel that in most cases, sometimes people will call you just to see if you've got your ducks in a row and ask you questions, and they're literally investigating your business. I feel things like that are fine.
Okay.
I feel that
makes sense.
The more people ask you questions and undermining you, more it wakes you up to understanding certain things that they maybe want to see if you know, then you will get to know them. So it actually helps you grow.
Yeah. And what challenges do you think are unique to you being a woman in this business?
I think it's very important to use your brain and not your looks when it comes to running a business, because then it's a very male-dominated space, and it's very important that you choose to be on an invoice and not an allowance in life. So and that's I'd like for you for the listeners to, especially the girl child, to just keep playing that in their head, that it's an invoice that you send out. It's not an allowance that you're expecting as a female. So it's very important to know your story, know what your business is about, do your research, so that whenever you ask questions and you're in a space where here's an investment, and as a female, how do I get into it? It's your brain. It's your brain that works, because you've got arms, legs, and a brain like a male. So those things will not be a challenge if you understand that your head, your brain is just as capable.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Phume, so what is something that you think you have sacrificed to be in this business?
Oh, it's actually quite a lot. Number one, there's a lot of traveling that comes with this business. So you need to sacrifice friends, a lot of time with family, and also just your own personal space of managing your life. Basically, the business requires 24/7, around the clock movement and commitment and
Sleepless
visits and sleepless nights,
Lots
of early mornings. So basically, I can honestly say that my life belongs to the business.
What do you think keeps you awake at night? I'm sure there's plenty.
No, actually not.
Actually
not.
Well.
No, actually not.
Okay.
Actually not. But what it is that the business needs to grow. It's all well and good setting up a store and it's got everything that it needs. But now, how do you then grow the business? How do you then generate the revenue? How do you then, stay on the proper lane of the GDP and ensure that you are making enough money to buy another bottle store? So that will keep you awake at night, because there's the competition, there is the monthly bills, your overheads. So it's basically everything that has got now to do with running the business and making a profit and running a successful business. That will keep you awake at night.
In moments for you where you questioned everything and you questioned the business.
Yes, 100%.
And what does that look like?
Pretty scary, because now and then we get a lot of scares of we're going through recession, and you would get scares of, oh no, people are going through sicknesses and weird flus like COVID. Those are spaces where alcohol is not sold. Or sometimes you find that the spaces where we get regulated are failing us in terms of giving us the right support, or helping us get our documentation and things like that in order. So when all of that happens, you do question the business itself, because then why are you trying so hard to create something when the space and the economy is not supporting it? I believe that the businesses need to be supported. Because if they're not supported in terms of, if I need anything for this business to run according to the law, and then that process is draining me, then obviously, I'll start thinking, what am I working towards, and why am I choosing this? And then also sometimes when you find that there are bottle stores that are running illegally, and they still are running illegally. Here you are going through whatever you're going through to follow rules, and you're struggling. Then you start there and you said, why am I going through what I'm going through, rather than the guy next door who has got no license and they're operating? So I think for me, the things that make question the business are actually literally based on the economy, and they're also based on the governance of the specific sectors. they make it difficult for us to make it. They make it difficult for young black businesses, boys or girls, that are coming up. We don't have trust funds, so we start with the very little that we have. So you do not want to go through too many hurdles. So when such things happen, you start wondering why even make the effort, but we keep going and we keep pushing and we keep having belief.
What's been your biggest failure in your career as a businesswoman?
Sure. That's a very, okay. I was going to say that's a difficult one. But I'm going to try and explain this because I don't know if it's a failure or not, but theft has been a thing where we save money and we want to do something, the money gets stolen, and then the possibilities of the entire project failing are then there. Also, sometimes not having money, it not being stolen, but the budgets don't go according to, and then you find that we're now stuck because of money.
That makes sense, though.
So I would say that it's not anything that is part of the plan or part of the process that would fail.
Yeah.
But we can have unforeseen circumstances of having less than what we need.
Because
and that's just a mess.
Because essentially no one anyway plans for failure.
Plans for failure.
But what has it taught you?
It taught me budgeting. It taught me saving. It taught me having something for rainy days. And also just a tight budget plan. Yeah.
What legacy do you hope that you are building?
I think for the business, including the investors, we'd like to leave something for our next generation. We'd like to leave something for our children. We'd like to leave something for, the generation that comes after us, whether it's the people that will take over the businesses or our family members or our children. So alcohol business is actually a business that it can be looked at as a family business, where you leave something for your children, where you create a trust fund for your kids. So it's a business that can grow and create more stores. So the legacy that I'm leaving behind is a brand and a name that will be carried through, that will be passed down to future generations. It's a retirement for many of our investors. So it's actually one of those businesses that develops and grows other businesses for families. Whether the families are in the rural areas, whether the families are in the suburbs, which is really great because you can take your pension and invest it into something like this and ensure that your kids have got something to live off from for a very long time. So I think it's one of the best businesses that you can do, that you can pass down to your children and also assist you to live comfortably in your retirement.
So she's basically saying her offsprings, her children, are set for life.
100%.
What excites you about the future of you in business, of you in the business of alcohol?
Okay, there's a lot that excites me. I'm actually really, really excited.
Oh, as an entrepreneur.
As an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
I'm excited for BB Liquors. I'm excited. What excites me is to watch the business grow. What is exciting is venturing into the different continents. What excites me is moving into the different countries. We are having talks with Lesotho. Very excited about that. And we're growing. We like moving to Umtata. We're moving to Kimberley. We're moving all over South Africa. So what is exciting about that is seeing the brand grow and seeing the brand everywhere. And remember that the brand is all about beauty, glam. When I say beauty, I mean there's alcohol. Wine bottles are beautiful, right? They're sexy, they're beautiful, they're gorgeous. So looking at that whole beauty spread everywhere, and also assisting, the South African distilleries. I've been meeting a lot of guys that make their own wine, their own gin, and their own vodkas. and it's such a pleasure to work with them. So that's also exciting, watching our own South African black entrepreneurs, women in the space of wine, in the space of gins and vodkas. That excites me. So there's just a lot of exciting stuff within the alcohol space, and a lot of growth as well. So we're very happy, we're very blessed and happy.
So where do we find Bibi Liqueurs?
Okay, so we are in KZN. That would be Durban, Umbilo, where we are now. In Pinetown, in Johannesburg, in Pretoria, in Mpumalanga Witbank. So that's where our stores are. We are branching off to Umtata. We're there from next week. And we're also branching off to Kimberley. So we're growing day by day.
So we're still missing Western Cape.
No, we're coming to Western Cape. We're on our way. We're on our way.
Who do they contact if they want to franchise?
They can call us direct. They can call me direct on 072 018 5542, 072 018 5542. Or they can also go onto our social media pages, BB Liquors. You can just search BB Liquors. You can also find us on our website, which is www.bbliquors.co.za.
I like it. What do you hope that other women or even girl children see when they look at your journey?
I'd like for them to see the resilience, because first and foremost, once you tell yourself that you're going to do something, you must just push on it and commit to it. So it's that's number one. And then secondly, not to have fear. I believe that fear destroys everything when it comes to starting anything. So not to have fear. And also perseverance. You must be able to wake up every morning with a smile on your face, and not focus on what you can't do, but focus on what you can do. I think that's it. Focus on what you can do, not so much on what you can't do. And then also, it's to learn. There's nothing that beats learning every day, because a space will teach. Any space that you get into, you need to learn, improve your understanding, and improve your thinking, and improve your networks. And improve your knowledge in whatever that you're doing. And also to keep smiling. Don't live your life with the wrinkles on your face in anything that you do. Just take it easy. If it's easy, take it home.
I like that. When did you first feel successful? Or are you feeling successful? Or have you felt successful?
Yeah, so when I first felt successful is when I first opened up my first shop. Okay, and it was actually 2 shops in 1 year. And I would call that success because, as you know, in business, you come across a lot of unforeseen situations where, you can wake up in the morning and things are not the way they're supposed to be. So that happened to me, but by the grace of God, it was replaced double whatever I had lost. And I managed to set up my first store. And also, I would like to also just mention this. It's very important in business to keep good relationships with people. People that you come across, people that you meet. Don't burn bridges, because my success also was dependent on people that I met.
Yes. It's always the case though.
Yeah, so something went wrong, but through, the interactions and the people that I've interacted with, I came out of that. So then I put my first shop. So I've been successful. And then secondly, this is home, KZN. For me to have a store in KZN is another success, because my whole life has been based in Johannesburg. And then I feel like we will still be successful, because every day when you wake up and you make an effort is a drop in the ocean that makes the waves. So with every effort made every day, I feel that there is going to be success.
Have you found freedom?
Absolutely.
I love that. Because why else do we do the things that we do?
Why else? I've definitely found freedom. I will explain my freedom.
What does it look like?
My freedom is owning some of my time. I'll call it some of my time because my business owns most of my time.
I've heard that before. I've heard when business owners say, freedom has given me time. And I want to understand what they mean by that.
So basically what that means is I don't operate in your time. Okay, it might mean that I am using my time to still be here and work, but I'm using my time to be here and work, not using my time to be somewhere else, doing something else for someone else.
Yeah.
You know, so that's like one portion of it. And then the other portion of it is I'm a mom, and I can consider myself as, a stay-at-home mom because I can be wherever my kids need me to be, and still run my business. So that's just the basis of not clocking in somewhere where it's like 8 to 5, but I can manage my time to actually be a mom. So that's like, it's been my biggest thing because, I can also be a soccer mom, I can be like whatever mom. Because I'm allowed to take 2 o'clock and go run with pom-poms chasing after my kids in a field and cheering them up, So, so I believe that's it. And then, and also freedom to be able to be in different continents and different countries. I must also say that. So I call that freedom because I love traveling. So my job allows me, or my business allows me to go all over South Africa and outside of South Africa. So for me, that's what I call freedom, to be able to be where I want to be, me. So yes.
And you can't argue with that. So I need to say a big thank you for allowing us into your space, into your mind, more importantly. And a big part of that for the channel, Thando Finds, is accessing knowledge for the generations that come after us. Mm-hmm. And I would like to give you this book to pass on the knowledge, any tips, any advice that you would have for the next trailblazer that we sit with on Thando Finds. Yeah. And also the child that doesn't necessarily want to go into formal education and is looking at entrepreneurship.
Okay, brilliant. If I may say, to that girl child that is not moving that formal route for whatever reason, whether they cannot afford, whether whatever challenges that they're having and they choose to be an entrepreneur, I just want to say that's one of the best routes to go. Education is very important, but on the same token, we're going through a crisis of having so many jobs. As a recruiter, I've been looking at what's going on in the space, and we need to be job creators rather than job seekers. So go out there, you can definitely do it. I vouch for you.
Dear young black entrepreneur, dear young lady, I see you grow and develop something from nothing. That was me. There will be days the numbers won't add up. Doors stay closed. The people underestimate you before you even speak. Ignore the noise. Your ideas and your hustle are valid, even when the world moves slow to catch up. Your perspective is your advantage. The problems that you've lived through are the problems you've best suited to solve. Don't sand down the edges to fit. Remember to look after yourself, look after your health, and be happy. Remember to eat and sleep. You don't necessarily need friends, but people who have your best interest. You're doing great. Keep moving. Yours truly, Phume Kumbi.
Today's journey on Thando Finds wasn't really about the steps that Phume took to be where she is at, but it was about the reinvention of moving from one sector to the next sector seamlessly, and being able to shift and change as and when the business requires you to do so. It's telling a human story in the most authentic way. It's understanding that we are here now, but tomorrow, the next generations will be here. And they need to know what it is to be in business, to be a trailblazer, and how you hold space for the next people that want to be in the same business as you. With that said, thank you for joining us on Thando Finds, and I'll see you on the next episode.